Welcome to episode 222 of the Daniel Yoris podcast, Aggressive Summer Shred Part 4. Let's go. Welcome back to the podcast, Part 4 of the Aggressive Summer Shred series, the fourth and final part in this series coming at you. And like I had mentioned, if by chance you are listening to this and you didn't listen to the first three parts, go back, listen to the first three parts, and then come back here. And also grab the Summer Shred cheat sheet that is in the show notes. It will make everything make way more sense, and it'll give you some good checklists and some good prompts and stuff and reminders of things that you need to be paying attention to or have, kind of on a daily, weekly basis that you need to make this all successful. So this fourth part, this episode, is going to be the follow-through episode. That means what happens at the end of this. I don't want to just leave you hanging, because a big problem with aggressive fat loss approaches or diets in general is that they don't leave you with, well, what do I do now when it's done? And this is why we get this rhetoric of diets don't work. And it's not because diets don't work, it's because diets are not meant to last for forever. And so when you finish the diet and lose the weight or make the transformation or whatever, and you go back to your old habits, well, then you're just going to go back to what you were at before. It's not rocket science to conceptualize that. But so we need to have a plan for what to do after, especially because this is aggressive and short in nature. We need to have a plan. So just to recap quickly, episode 1 was about the setup and the mindset. Episode 2 was the actual plan, the more of the nuts and bolts of what you need to be doing. Episode 3, or part 3 rather, part 1, part 2, part 3 was about troubleshooting and how to navigate around things that will make this more challenging and more difficult as you go through it. And then this one, part 4, will be about the follow through, or the plan after the plan, as I like to call it. Anybody can do a 4 or 6 week thing, even like a 6-month transformation. But and that's cool and it's great, but it's not the most impressive thing. The impressive thing is the people who can transform themselves and make a big change and then keep it for 1, 3, 5, 10 years. That is extremely impressive. And it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen by accident. This is where we start to talk about sustainability. Like, by definition, a diet or a challenge or a, whatever, it's not supposed to be sustainable. Like, change is not sustainable. We can't continually be changing, especially if it's just fat loss. Like, there's only so much fat. Eventually, you would lose all of the fat on your body, and then what would you do? Like, now, you won't actually go to zero, but in theory, you can't just keep losing fat for forever. So you have to have like a plan after that. The strategy has to then change into something that is sustainable. And this is where, like, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. Like, that thing, that is the plan. The lifestyle is the plan after the plan. The lifestyle is not what's happening when you're dieting, and especially when you're aggressive dieting. It shouldn't be happening. The silver lining of this is this. Maybe not even silver lining. This might not be the right term. But the good news is this. It's much easier to maintain your progress than it is to make the progress. We're doing an aggressive fat loss phase here pre-summer. You don't need to be doing an aggressive lifestyle phase for the rest of forever. That's not how it works. Your lifestyle, again, should be sustainable, should be pretty easy. And yeah, you have to work hard and eat right and, do all the things, but like, it doesn't need to be aggressive. So be confident that this aggressive fat loss phase is short-lived and that it will be over, and you don't need to work this hard at this level forever just to keep what you have built, or lost rather, in this phase. This is, again, I referenced this earlier. I recorded these 4 things all like back to back so that my mind was fresh. I don't remember which time I said this, but like I think it was in the second episode. The 80-20 principle comes into play with like your sustainable lifestyle habits, not so much in your aggressive fat loss phase. But now, it kind of comes back. So really, when we think about what the plan was, training, lots of steps, nutrition, all that stuff, the calories, those things, none of that is like revolutionary. And these are things that you need to be doing all of the time. Like, the thing that you're doing, as in training, eating a certain amount of calories, getting your sleep in, water, all this stuff. You're still doing those things. You just don't need to be doing them as much or as aggressively or as diligently to kind of live your lifestyle. So the plan is the same. Everything just gets toned down. From training 6 days a week, maybe you go back to 4 days a week. Maybe it's even 3 days a week. And for some of you, maybe even 2 days a week. Like, fits with your schedule and, what you want to get out of your training and all that stuff. I'd say like minimum 2 days a week, but, 3 to 4 is pretty much the sweet spot for most people. Your calories certainly come back up, and this would be harder to like measure out for you, like with an exact formula, but like you're going to bump your calories up like by at least, I would say like at least 600 calories from this, and minimum 600, like probably even more, probably even close to like 800 to 1,000, based on how strict it's been for you and how much fat you've lost and all that stuff. But it's almost mandatory because it's almost mandatory to bring your calories. It is mandatory to bring your calories back up because you want to mitigate muscle loss and you want to stop losing fat, right? You can go to maintenance and then like do another stint of this, and you might do that might do a 2 to 3 week maintenance break and then do like another fat loss stint for another 4 to 6 weeks. But like you need to come back up to maintenance for at least, I'd say 2 to 3 weeks. This is going to like allow your body to recover because the fat loss is like stressful and it's hard and your body doesn't want it. It'll allow you to enjoy some social time in the summer for sure. So all those restrictions and sacrifices that you will have been making over the past couple of weeks, you can stop doing that, or you can take your foot off the gas on those, or take your foot off the brake, I guess. Whatever. You give yourself a mental break for sure, and again, preventing some unnecessary muscle loss. So your calories got to come back up, probably around 800 calories up, and you should be around your maintenance. Now, you should still be, especially early on, still track your weight daily in the same way, because your weight will probably bounce back up a little bit just because you're having more food volume in your body, but then it should level out. And you want to make sure that it's maintaining. Like that, again, that trend line, it's going to bounce up and down a little bit, but that trend line is going to be, it should be straight. It should be a flat line rather than like a downward line during your fat loss phase. So you want to make sure that you kind of guess and check your calories at that. But I'd start by bumping up like 800 calories. There's no real need to like kind of reverse diet unless you're like super crazy, like bodybuilding lean, which I don't think you are, because that's not what this is about. But or from a psychological perspective. But again, that's kind of outside the scope of this. Not outside the scope, but we're not going to talk about reverse dieting. I don't think it's really useful other than a psychological tool. So you bring your calories back up, you tone your training down. Now you can keep your training the same, by the way, and I'll talk about training a little bit more in a second, but like you can keep your training the same, but you just don't have to, because you're not pushing it as much. And same with your steps. Your steps could be over 10,000. Like that's not so crazy to say, but with all of this stuff, now you get more wiggle room. It's much easier to maintain, right? So you can be a little bit more off and still be kind of within the realm of maintenance, rather than having to be like 95% compliant. You can be like 80% compliant and you can get away with it. Now that doesn't mean kind of be 80 but be 60. It means like be 80 and be 80. So you still got to pay attention if things are slipping up too far. And that's where like you always need to be tracking things, not every single day and not super diligently, but you need to be paying attention so you don't let yourself slip too far. And that's more of like a very long-term strategy. You need to be paying attention because your weight will creep back up and things will happen, but you don't want to get to a point where you need to lose 35 pounds again. Maybe you want to float within like a 10-pound range because you can drop 10 pounds relatively easily, but you don't want to have to, lose the same 30 or 40 pounds multiple times in your life. Really, like you should do that once and then never again, theoretically. So I'm actually becoming more of a fan of these kind of short, aggressive stints. I still don't think that they're great for beginners, and psychologically they can be awesome for a beginner because like it gets you really kickstarted, gets you really motivated. I just think that someone who's a total beginner to like training and tracking food and paying attention to nutrition and all those kind of things, it would still be aggressive if you have like 100 pounds to lose. Like I would get this person going like pretty aggressively. just the whole plan and the way that I would speak to that person and things would be like stated differently and outlined differently, and only because you, just based on the amount of time, like you probably don't have some of the prerequisite skills and habits built up in order to approach it the same way. But like if you have a significant amount of weight to lose, you can also lose a significant amount of weight like really fast, because again, you just have more weight to lose. So for not beginner, intermediate to more advanced people, I'm becoming more of a fan of these kind of aggressive stints, because it's very motivating. It's very motivating, and it limits the amount of time that you're in a deficit and trying to lose weight. I actually think there's a lot of merit to like the get in, get out kind of mentality, rather than I'm going to try and take 6 months to lose 20 pounds. Like, again, it's great. It's fine, but you got to kind of be on your game. And now it's a lot easier, but it's a lot longer. So it's harder to be like a little bit on your game for a long period of time. I think for a lot of people, it's easier to be like 100% all in for a short period of time. There's been a lot said about like the don't be, the all in or all out mentality, but there are a number of people, and maybe you're one of them, who is suited to like the all in mentality. And that's okay. If that's you, like don't shy away from that, like lean into it. It's just that most people are probably not that, but some people are, and some people can be for a short period of time. You can also predict what's going to happen in your life in the short term easier than you can in the long term. If you plan to do this, some plan for, the next 6 to 8 months, more things can come up that can make it harder to stick to the plan, versus the next 4 weeks are much more predictable than the next 6 months type of thing. So there's that. You end up also sometimes giving yourself too much wiggle room. And this is what I mean by, if you think you're being 80% consistent or on point or compliant, but you're really being 60% and then you're wondering why things are not happening. Sometimes giving yourself too much buffer room, actually, you take an inch and if you give an inch, you take a mile type of thing, but you do that to yourself. That can be problematic, versus demanding like near 100% compliance doesn't give you that much room to wander off the path. Whereas, if we're demanding 100% compliance for this aggressive fat loss phase, but you're only being 95% compliant, you're still missing the mark, but like you'll probably be okay. Versus asking for 80 and we get 70, it's like, well, you might not be doing it, and this thing is happening, and it's happening slowly, but it's taken forever, and that can be demotivating as well. So I'm becoming more of a fan of these things. Now the maintenance part between phases is slower, is more important rather, because you can do multiple stints of this aggressive thing. Like, yes, this is all framed as like a 4 summer type of thing, but if you want to do it more long term, you can do like a 6-week push, break for 3 weeks, 6-week push, break for 3 weeks, and like you repeat that as many times as you need to get to where you want to be. The maintenance is important, and the maintenance is important, one, for the physiological reasons that I outlined a couple minutes ago, but 2, for practicing maintenance, because that is the end stage. You want to get to a point where your exercise, your lifestyle, your food, your whatever, this is just part of who you are and what you do, and you realize that it's actually easier than you think it is. And the reason that you will realize that is because the dichotomy of going from the aggressive push to the maintenance break, one thing that the aggressive push does is it stretches your limitations. It stretches I'm losing my voice and my ability to speak clearly, enunciate. It stretches what you think you are capable of, and it proves to yourself that you are more capable than you think you are. You think that it's hard to get 15,000 steps in a day until you do it for 3 weeks. And you're like, oh, this is pretty good. And then you realize that, well, if I can get 15,000, like getting 10 is easy. Like, what was I doing before? And so by demanding more of yourself, you will actually get more out of what you're doing. And then dropping back from that feels like a walk in the park. It might feel like a monumental task to get to the gym 4 times a week until you have to get to the gym 7 times a week. And you're like, well, 4 is easy. Oh my God, I got 3 days to be free and not go to the gym. This is a walk in the park. And same thing with food. You might think that meal prepping or cooking all your meals at home is like some crazy thing that you can't accomplish until you're forced to do it. And you're like, oh, and you mean in like normal maintenance life, I can eat like 2 or 3 meals out a week every week. Like this is so easy. And so the aggressiveness stretches the limitations of what you think you are limited to, and it makes the maintenance a little bit easier and a little bit easier to digest. So, once your abilities are revealed to yourself, it also becomes very hard to lie to yourself about what you're capable of. You can't tell me after you do 12,000 steps a day for 4 weeks in a row that doing 10,000 steps a day or 8,000 steps a day is hard for you, because you're lying to yourself and you know that. But if you've never done it before, it might seem really hard. So until you're forced to do it, until you push yourself to do it, it will seem much harder than it is. But then once you've proven to yourself that you can do it and you can do even more to it, you can no longer look yourself in the mirror and say that tracking your calories, getting to the gym, getting food in, getting your steps in, getting all those things is difficult to you. It's just not. And honestly, I saw this this will be a few weeks on now from the time this episode you're listening to this, but I did like a 10,000 step challenge. And it was just for 2 weeks, challenged people to do 10,000 steps a day, and I gave away $500 to one of the winners. And I'll do this again in like July or something. So if you want to be part of that, let me know. I'll get you in. But one of the main things that people some of the feedback from that group was like, oh yeah, like this was, it seemed like so impossible until I just started doing it. And now, like at the time that I'm filming this, it's already like over a week past the challenge. And most of the people from that group are still just doing it because now it's just normal to them. And even if they're not getting 10,000, they're like easily getting 8,000, when previous to the challenge, they were getting like 4,000. And so it stretches your limitations, and it makes you realize that you are more capable than you think that you are. And that is extremely important. Like, it's also easier to accept that you have to do less. And by definition, like this whole aggressive phase is supposed to be difficult, right? It's supposed to be difficult, so we're really pushing the envelope. So it's really hard to do 10,000 or 12,000 or whatever, getting 8,000 steps. And I keep using the steps thing, but it goes for the food, it goes for the training, it goes for everything. Understanding that you only have to do less, it feels like a breeze. And I think I said that before, but it just feels like so much easier. And so no doubt you'll stumble at points. Like there's going to be days where you're going to get 2,000 steps and you're going to, eat 5,000 calories. Like it's going to happen, but it's going to happen less frequently and farther between. And it's going to happen less times in a row. Like you might have a day where you get 2,000 steps, but you're not going to have 2 days in a row where you get 2,000 steps. You might have a day where you overeat, but it's not going to be 2 days in a row that you overeat. You might miss the gym this week, but you're not going to miss the gym for 2 weeks in a row. And that's the thing that makes the whole plan stick, is that all of this, they just become part of who you are and what it is that you do. You have to understand what you're capable of, understand that the things that are required of you to be fit, strong, and healthy are not as much as you thought they were. And then it just becomes part of what you do. Going to the gym is not a chore. Eating healthy food is not a chore. Cooking at home is not punishment. Going out for a walk after dinner is not this crazy laborious task. It's just what you do, because it makes you feel better, makes you feel healthy, makes you feel strong, makes you feel good, makes you look good, makes you like the way you look, makes you like the way you feel, and all these things. And it's just part of what you do. It's not even like you get to a point where you don't really have to like schedule this in and make an effort, because it just happens. You wake up in the morning, you go for a walk. You wake up in the morning, you drink some water instead of just slamming an energy drink and a Diet Coke and popping some Eggo waffles and going to work. Like that's not what a healthy adult does. And you have to just become that. So all of these things, and especially like the aggressive approach, highlights all that to you. And so when you revert back to your normal, you realize, like your sustainable approach rather, where it's just, again, the toned down version, you realize that your bad days now are way less bad, again, quote unquote bad, than your previous bad days, right? A bad day before might have been you took 1,000 steps and ordered Uber Eats 3 times and you had like 27 grams of protein on the day. Like that might have been a bad day. But now, in your healthy maintenance phase, after you've gone through this transformation and adopted this lifestyle, now your bad day is 6,000 steps. You only missed your protein goal by 40 grams, and you still went to the gym for 25 minutes instead of an hour. And like that's a bad day, right? And that's how this thing adds up over time, is that it's not about hitting a home run every single day. It's just about staying in the game. You stay in the game for as long as possible, and not every day is going to be amazing, and not every day is going to be perfect, but every day is going to be like pretty decent. And your bad days are not that bad, and they're few and far between. So that's how this all really adds up. As again, you just need to be, your mind needs to be stretched, and your ability needs to be challenged so that you can understand how simple it can be to just make this part of who you are and what it is that you do, and then recognize the capabilities that you have, and that it's pretty easy. Now, a little bit more of a tangible thing is that you can then shift, like if you're not going to do like a little 3-week maintenance break and you're going to, this is, 6 months is just, you're at your goal, you're good now. You can then start to choose like performance goals. So you hit goals in the gym. Now because you're going to be well fed, you're going to be eating at maintenance, like you're well fed and primed for performance. You pick goals in the gym. This is where you get back in the gym, you start hitting PRs. You maybe you want to run a marathon, maybe you want to, it doesn't matter what your thing is, but you pick a performance goal and you aim at that. You're well fed, so you're well suited to like actually hit performance goals now, and it's fun to chase. Again, that upward aiming, positive alignment thing that I talked about in part 3. You have that now in performance. And so you can chase that. And that's something to anchor you down with, rather than you're just doing stuff for doing stuff. Because until this has really settled in as part of who you are and what it is that you do, you still need something to kind of hold you accountable. You can be held accountable by your goals. Maybe you need someone to kind of check in with, maybe not every single day and not as aggressively, but like regularly every week or so, and just to chat about things. And so you don't wander too far off the path, because you should still be tracking things and making sure that even if your weight fluctuates up a little bit, it doesn't fluctuate up that much, type of thing. But yeah, this is a great time to be chasing performance goals, and that's something that will keep you kind of on the path. Remember, like, you want to have something to aim at. If you don't have something to aim at, things get wishy-washy. You're kind of on no path. So now is the time to be chasing performance goals, and that is the thing that is going to keep you, it's going to keep you the most anchored towards making this stuff last. And so if there was the most tangible things that I could say about what the plan after the plan is, to kind of start to sum this up, and I know that this one is going to be faster, but you're probably happy with that at this point. It's this: you tone down the plan back to something that's a little bit more realistic, but you're still getting the gym, you're still getting the steps, you're still paying attention, eating healthy foods, still drinking water, still sleeping well. The thing you add back in is chasing performance goals, and that's something that we weren't really doing during the aggressive fat loss phase, because we're not fueling ourselves accordingly to be chasing legitimate performance goals. You add back in chasing performance goals, and that's going to be huge for you. That's the thing that's going to anchor you around, and everything you do is about that. Because if you want to get good performance, you still need to be sleeping well. You still need to be managing your stress well. You still need to be fueling yourself sufficiently, as in eating enough food, but also eating healthy food. Like, you're not going to be, hitting crazy PRs and having amazing gym performances by eating candy and junk food all the time. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to have good digestion. You're just not going to feel good. Your skin's not going to look good. Nothing's going to be good. So you still need to be eating well. You still need to be sleeping well. You still need to be stress management. You still need to be drinking lots of water. You still need to be taking your vitamins. You still need to be doing all of the stuff. You can just do them at like a toned down version, because you're not trying to drive fat loss so much. But if your performance goals go super high, you will want to drive them really high as well. So that's the thing, is tone everything down to a little bit more realistic, and then add in that positive aspect of chasing performance goals. And that's going to keep you anchored and keep you kind of on the straight and narrow path here rather than veering off. And your performance goals can be anything. They don't have to be super aggressive. You don't have to go into the gym and squat 700 pounds. Like, your performance goal can just be squatting 5 more pounds than last week. And you can break them down into really small sections. It doesn't have to be running a marathon. You want to just maybe be able to go run for 10 minutes in a row. Like, it can start anywhere. It doesn't matter where you are. You just want to be a little bit better and always be chasing something. It can be mobility. It can be like a skill. You want to learn how to do a handstand. Like, that's a thing. Like, that's just something I picked out of the blue, but like that can be a thing. It doesn't have to be lifting, doesn't have to be running. It can be a skill. You can pick up a sport. People play pickleball now. I don't get the hype, but sure. You want to get better at pickleball. You want to be able to have better cardio and whatever you need for pickleball. I mean, it's for old people, so maybe that's a terrible example, but you want to go play basketball with your buddies. Like, you can go do that. You just got to pick a performance goal. So I encourage you to do that, because that's the thing that's going to anchor everything else. And that's what's going to keep you on the path. And that is how we make this stick. The diet is not done. The diet is done when the diet is done, but that doesn't mean you just give up on all the things and just revert back to what you're doing. Unless, of course, you want to just like go back to the way you were before, which you probably don't, because why would you have done any of this if you just wanted to undo it all in a couple weeks? The lifestyle begins once the diet ends, and that's what this is about. So to recap it again, and I'll wrap this up. You dial things back on the intensity and the level of compliance needed. You dial things up on your performance and what you're chasing with your performance, and you strive as hard as you can to make all of the fitness and health stuff a part of who you are and what it is that you do. And this is how it will last from now until forever. I hope that this whole series has been helpful. It's been fun for me to make and think about and put out there. I appreciate anyone who's reached out to me and given some feedback. Remember to download the cheat sheet as you're going through it. And if you want to revert back to this multiple times or at some point in the future, that's going to help you a lot for sure. So yeah, this has been fun. I hope you have a good summer. Obviously, we'll be around and we'll be chatting, and we'll be back with a new episode next week or whatever. But yeah, if you have questions, if you need accountability, if you need anything from me, you know where to find me. And that's that. So I appreciate you. Make sure you share this podcast with a friend. If you've enjoyed this series, please send this to someone. Please leave a 5-star review on iTunes, on Spotify. Make sure you're subscribed. Those things go a super long way in making this show continue to grow and helping me know that you're enjoying things or not. And if you're not enjoying things, then also let me know that too. Don't leave a comment if you're not. But let me know so I can be better. But if you are, leave those positive reviews. It helps other people get to listen to the show and helps other people get to know what's up here. So I appreciate that. Appreciate you always for listening. Make sure you follow me on all this stuff as well. And that's that. Go outside. Be a good person. See you soon.